So for PD-L1 testing, it's just done routinely on all non-small cell lung cancer. So as soon as the diagnosis is made visually on the microscope that it's non-small cell, then that IHC is ordered. So it actually gets incorporated usually into the original pathology report of whatever the biopsy or
along
the
with the
specimen is.
standard IHCs,
Correct.
the TTF1?
Correct,
Great.
along with the standard IHCs. Very rarely, if something happens and there's a delay, it might be reported as an addendum, but it's usually reported in the initial kind of workup of the biopsy.
I mean, that's a great point, that this has become so fundamental that it's almost stopped being a molecular test and become a routine IHC test that every lung cancer gets tested on, or every non-small cell lung cancer. That's a really amazing transformation. Instead of being that extra order you have to think about,
Right.
the pathologist increasingly can just be making it happen for you.
PD-1 immunohistochemistry, it's kind of a bit evolving, so it's standard done on all non-small cell lung cancers. If there's a particular other tumor type where the oncologist is interested in it, that is a personal communication saying, please add this. We just had a conversation with our oncologists that treat mesothelioma, for example, and now we're routinely ordering that on all mesotheliomas, just like lung cancer.
We think about it some with small cell lung cancer too. I think we're trying to use it more. It's an imperfect biomarker, okay?
Right.
But it does, when you have complicated decisions, every little data point can help.
Yep, so those are things that we kind of do on an ad hoc basis on different tumor types. But again, it's a communication that can be added on, but it's things are evolving and maybe it's becoming more important in other tumor types, so then our practice will evolve with it. It is not a perfect biomarker, and there is kind of, difficulties and discrepancies perhaps between different labs and people interpreting. So our efforts to try to standardize it and make it as robust a test as possible so the test that we perform was validated against an external assay, and it's done by our one thoracic pathologist. She either signs out all of them or she reviews someone else's. So it's really limited to one person always reviewing it, always reporting it, so there's consistency. And then as far as it's being reported, it's in the main pathology report and just a percentage, and the pattern of staining is reported. And then the interpretation and how it's used is obviously left up to the oncologist at that point.
And that's percentage in 10% increments, 5% increments?
I think she usually does 10% increments.
I do think more quantification in 10% increments, can help us. There's some actually interesting data I've seen that, we think about above 50% as positive, but actually higher positive might do better than lower positive, and so 50% to 70% might be different than 80%, 90%. So I think it has meaning to us as we make decisions as oncologists. I'm not sure all of that's fully informed, but more data is better for us.